All right. Welcome, coaches. My name is Brey Cook. I'm the offensive line coach here at Pea Ridge High School. And before I get started, I want to thank Coach Williams. I want to thank the rest of the coaches who are working with the clinic. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I'm pumped to be able to talk some ball with some of the best high school coaches in the country. And obviously, just like everything else this year, the format of this presentation is a little different than normal. So you can break out that TVG app, you can saddle up, and we're going to talk some O-line play right from here at home. Today, I'm going to introduce a few of our EDDs, or everyday drills, as the name suggests, that we do, again, every day. These are drills that you can do in and out of season. They're really a compilation of drills that either helped me personally understand technique in the protection game back when in the glory days, or they're some of my favorite drills that I kind of accumulated throughout my career as a young GA. In between picking up lunches and washing cars, I was able to observe some coaches who were much smarter than I am, and this are a few of my favorites. So I've broken up our protection technique into 6 categories. So we look at our stance all the way down to our finish, and really everything in between, all those little nuances that our players seem to forget day in and day out. So it's important, especially for us at Pea Ridge, that we drill these often and we drill them accurately. Today we're going to go ahead and skip stance. We're going to start with our set. Our set is the single most important phase of pass protection. Just as in the run game, if you don't get that first and second step in the ground, you're going to struggle. Just like at Oaklawn, you don't get that ticket in before post, you're going to have a bad time. So our set is the most important part of pass protection. We want to set with a sense of urgency with no wasted motion. It's important that we are efficient with our movement. We can't give that defender, who is a lot of times a little quicker than us, any advantages with unnecessary steps or with misuse of our hands. And of course, we must be in balance at all times. The key ratio for us is 2/3 of our weight on the instep of our inside foot. That involves keeping that knee knocked inside the foot, keeping our power angles in our ankles, our knees, and our hips, and keeping that lean to ensure that we do not get beat inside. Because of course, as we all know, 80% of the losses in pass protection are caused by poor offensive line technique, not necessarily anything that the defender is really doing to beat us. If a Harrison Goblin catches us with 2/3 of our weight not on that inside foot, we're going to struggle, which is why it is so important that we hit these drills every single day, and we hit them, again, accurately. Now let's go ahead and look at our first drill. So first up is our win the set drill. This is a drill that we do to begin our pass protection drills each day. It's a basic line up with a man across on your outside shoulder and beat him to your technique. So our objectives, you can see here, we want to simulate a couple different looks. We want to start with him on our outside shoulder. We're going to get a look, if you see there to the bottom under execution, that 3-to-1. He's going to start on the outside shoulder, we'll make contact, we'll come across, and lastly, a 3-to-1 spin. He's going to start on that outside shoulder, spin across, force us to fight that hip, strong arm, quick hands, and obviously you'll see here in the next clip exactly what it is. The setup, we're going to line up next to each other. All of your offensive linemen will partner up, and then you're going to have the defender again start on that outside shoulder. So let's go to the next slide here, and we will watch it in action. So here's a couple of our underclassmen, and I'll let this play as I kind of talk about it a little bit. Your first set is going to be just that, him on the outside shoulder. You're just kicking about a 6-inch kick. It's nice, it's short, it's direct, and getting our punch and up through. Here's your second rep. There's Clay, number 58, defends the cross face, and here's your spin look. as a quick spin. And this is just, again, a simple drill that we do just to get us back in that pass protection mindset. Obviously, this is a drill we're doing now in the off season. And during season, it's going to be much more violent. You really want to strike. You want to see that head get knocked back with that violent punch. But here, let's watch Clay keep that 2/3 of his weight in his inside foot. He's able to just march down the line, flatten them, and it's just a quick little reminder that we have to win our set and get to our technique in order to win the rep. Of course, there's your defending against the spin. We teach here that you're never going to beat inside. And again, it goes back to that 2/3 of your weight. You can never allow that inside penetration. If they're going to beat you, it's going to be with speed and around. And of course, well, we're not going to let that happen either. But again, let's go through these looks. So here's Clay, the underclassman, just posting up easy, elbows tight. We really want to enforce those thumbs up, and we'll get to a couple other drills that talk about those things later. The biggest thing, again, is how quick can we get to that pass protection posture, ready to strike, be violent, and react to our defender. The next phase of our protection technique is going to be our posture, right? We want to take aim and put ourselves in position to win the rep. Our set gets us there. Now, what exactly is there, right? Those small little details that we often forget in the heat of battle, right? So the biggest thing is going to be our post to kick foot relationship, right? If we kick our kick foot 6 inches, then we have to match that 6 inches with our post foot. If we move it 5 or we move it 7, well, now we're overextended, or now our feet are a little too narrow, right? So at any time during our film, I want to be able to pause the clip and look and see our feet in that perfect relationship that they started in our stance, right? At any point, we ought to be able to freeze and get right back down into our stance without readjusting our feet, right? The next phase is going to be having that power angle in your knees and your ankles and your hips, right? A perfect bend. Your post toes are always going to be pointed up the field, and this is a big one. This is one that I've encountered at every single level of the game, right? At offensive line, typically there's a guy across from you who's a little more athletic than you are. That's okay. But we have a tendency to want to open those hips, especially at tackle versus, a wider rusher. And so what I found does a good job at keeping our guys hip closed is just enforcing that toe pointed forwards. The second that that outside foot turns out a little bit, well, now you know you've opened your hips. And it's a very easy thing to see. The guys understand it. And so that is a big part of having correct posture. We want to have our back perpendicular to the ground with a big chest. Our chin is tucked and our head back. A big one is going to be, where do you keep your arms in this pass protection posture? And for us, as a general rule, you want to straighten those arms out and bring them in 6 inches. Now, this is just our base aiming point. You don't want them together ever. You want them separate. That way, a defender can't knock both down with one move, right? You want to keep them separate to replace. But that's going to be a little different for everybody. Some guys will hold them a little lower. Some will have them higher. As a general rule, it's 6 inches, but I'm a little lenient. What works for you, works for you. But obviously, our elbows do have to be tight and tucked. Our thumbs have to be up. And that is our pass protection posture. Let's look at a couple drills here. First up is going to be our sets on air. Simply, this is exactly what it's called. We're literally just going to take some sets on air. The difference is going to be our tempo, right? So our first tempo is going to be 50%. And you have this slide for reference. Let's go ahead and look at some of these clips as I talk about them. So here we've got two of our guys. They're taking this 50% tempo rep, right? I want to make sure it's slow. This is a drill you can do right after an intense team, or they come after a special teams. You guys are a little winded. Bring them over. We'll run at 50%. Now we're going to go to the full speed rep, and you can kind of watch it as we talk. But the whole point of this drill is to feel where your weight is. Now right here, we're a little out of control. But as we go back to this 50% rep, the biggest key is going to be feeling that 2/3 of your weight on the inside foot, right? I want them to lean in there. I want them to have that knee knocked inside, and I want them to be able to just slowly move around the field in the different sets that we're going to take. So first up, I'll tell them vertical, vertical. Now come back. Now we'll go 45 degrees. We'll come right back home, and we'll go to our jump set. And those are just different sets they're going to see every day. Now as they reset, once everybody's gone through, now the tempo increases, right? Now we're at a full speed rep. How fast can you get to your technique? We talked about getting to your set earlier. Well, this is that same thing. It's also understanding the different potential sets that you're going to take as an offensive lineman. So right here, I'm going to be screaming as loud as I can. It's go vertical, 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 and they're going to hit it as fast as they can. They're going to post, post, post. They're going to come back to 45. They're going to come up, and they're going to jump. Our hands are a little everywhere there. We like to keep them close inside of our cage. Obviously, we can work on these things, get better at. But I believe in this drill. I've seen it work wonders as far as guys really feeling where they need to hold their weight. They can watch the clips, see where they need to hold their hands. And this is a really good one for us that we do every single day. Well, now we've gotten into our set with our perfect posture. We know where we want to be and how we want to get there. But now what do we do once we're poised, we're in good position? Well, it's be violent, right? So many people associate pass protection with exact passive protection. You know, it's easy, be in the right place. Absolutely not, right? This is as violent as it gets. You should see clips of pass protection, and there should be a little shock and awe factor, right? We want our punch to be extremely violent, and we want to be known for that violence, right? That punch is going to establish and maintain our separation, all right? It's our only weapon we got, all right? D linemen are allowed to tee off, they're allowed to move, they're going to be twisting. So what do we have? We've got big, strong paws, and we're going to use them, right? So we want to make sure when we're punching that we're punching up as we sit down. I never want to see guys punching straight forward or punching down, right? That means our pad level is way too high. It means we're in trouble. We want to be punching up, and we want to force our hips down as we punch and our head back. And now, obviously, we want to work on our timing of the punch, and here's a couple drills that we're going to do to make that happen. And we'll start with one of my personal favorites. I call it the Don, named after Don Strubing, one of the best coaches to coach the game of football. My offensive line coach in high school, still a mentor, a great friend of mine, the Don. Right? So what we're going to do here is we're going to enforce getting that violent punch with lowering that pad level and getting that head back and out of the drill. Right? The setup, all you're going to do is you're going to grab a partner. That partner's going to grab a bag, and you can see it here. These two guys are up at once. They've each got their partner facing perpendicular with that bag. And on the whistle, all they're going to do is swing that bag, and they're going to get from their stance, get into their pass posture, and punch and get that head out. Right? It's very effective. The guys enjoy this drill. They look forward to it. It's kind of fun. Obviously, you can do it in and/or out of season. This is obviously us doing it out of season. There's your call. And obviously, we'd like them to sit there at the end just so they don't pop up. I don't want to create a bad habit. I would like to keep that pad level. But the whole emphasis of the drill is just head back and get that punch. And we'll watch it. We'll get about 3 reps here, I think. So boom, there's your punch. They're going to keep kicking afterwards. That's something I want to emphasize. I don't want our guys to stop their feet on these reps. Here's another look at it from the side. Keeping that weight inside. Clay here at right tackle does a great job getting the punch. Now here he goes again. And this is kind of the second evolution of the Don. Right? We're going to swing that bag. He's going to make contact with it, almost like your waterfall drill. right? But you got a little more impact coming at you. So he's going to keep on kicking and react to that second punch. Obviously, not very often does a pass protection rep end with one punch. There's one, there's your second. Sometimes we'll go on to three. Obviously, as you can see in the clip, the whole line here has been shoved off in the corner, and that is okay. That's our home. That's where we like it. So now here's Thaddeus, great player for us last year, doing the exact same thing. It's a real simple drill. It's easy to set up, easy to do, and I think it really does work wonders for guys at all levels. I know for a fact that it helped me, and it is a good one. We'll move on. And we'll slow the tempo down here to down the line drill. So our objective here is to show us a couple different surfaces. The big keyword here is surfaces. Never in pass pro, well, I mean, not often, is a defender going to run up, say, here's my chest, come on, strike me, right? It doesn't happen. All right, they're going to be throwing things, they're going to be going, dipping and dodging. They don't make it easy for us. So we're going to simulate that in this drill. This is another drill that we do after an intense team session for us to catch our breath, but yet to focus on technique when we're tired, right? So all the setup is you're going to partner up down the line. One player is in his pass posture with a defender across from him, and we'll move on as I talk about it. This is us coming right down the line to me. What's going to happen is he's going to give him three different surfaces. He's going to give him his chest, shoulder, spin, right? And obviously, we're giving a phenomenal spins there. If you can, partner up with a D lineman. But we're going to get that right here. Again, here's another angle of it. All we're doing is getting those separate surfaces. And we need to know exactly how we want to attack those surfaces, right? So as you get that chest, a simple punch, 6 inches, obviously it's going to be more violent with pads on. The biggest difference that you're going to see in this drill is whenever he gives him that shoulder rep. So as he leans into the shoulder, if we were to punch like we were attacking his chest, boom, we're going to miss, right? If you punch that shoulder, you're going to miss both hands. He's going to get into your chest. Obviously, that is not ideal. I'll play the clip again. We want to stack our hands. That's the key on attacking the shoulder. You can see Clay does a great job here. Punch the chest, stack the hands. We really want to get there as to not miss. And this is just one of those drills that builds that reaction over time. And I think, and I've seen it in games, I've seen guys strike that shoulder, not miss, and make a huge difference in pass protection. So this is one we like to do quite often. Again, it doesn't tax them. It's a great way to focus on technique when they might be a little winded. Moving on to our med ball punch. This is a drill exactly as it says. We're going to toss that med ball at us to get a couple different angles, right? A defender might be running at you, he might give you something, and all of a sudden you blink and now he's over here. We have to react to that angle and strike it evenly every single time. So this is kind of something that simulates that a little bit. It's another emphasis on, again, different surfaces. So our defender is going to control the tempo. He's just going to lob that med ball. It's a 20 or 30-pound med ball up in the air. Clay is going to strike it up as he knocks those hips back with his head back, and really knock that med ball right back on the angle that it came from. So we want to return these med balls. It's an easy drill. You've probably seen it before. I have seen it work time and time again. There's Thaddeus. This drill is easy, it's good. I will continue to run this every single day. Like a little better pad level there, Clay. That's okay. All right, moving on. All right, this phase of our protection technique, the position, right? You want to make sure that you're always putting yourself in position to win. Really, this identifies with your set and your posture, right? Your set has to change versus different rushes, as we talked about, and our posture has to be perfect throughout the rep, right? We talked about that foot-to-foot relationship. We want to keep our bend in our hips, and we want to keep our active feet. And the difference here with position is that our active feet change based on the rush that we're getting, based on the defensive ability, maybe the different things they're throwing at us. It's really just a reaction to what we're seeing and what we're getting. And our first drill that's going to mimic that is our tight, wide, and wider drill. This is a drill I think is very important, especially for our tackles. While this is going to be, it starts out as that win the set drill, right? He's going to be on my outside shoulder, and that's going to be my tight look. And then we're going to widen them out, we're going to widen them out, and depending on the kind of athletes you see, some of the teams that we play some phenomenal defensive lines, so I widen those suckers out to the sideline just to emphasize we have to be aware of where these guys are coming, if they're blitzing, if they're twisting, or if they're just getting faster than us. We've got to get that vertical set of the wider or more athletic defensive end that we're going to see. And now the chip look, you can see there on the diagram, all we're doing is telling that back holder to pause for a second and then come back at us. That's a good to include if that's part of your offensive game plan. But we're going to move on to the clip here. Here's Clay with a tight look, just a simple 6-inch step. Now we're going to go a little wider, a little more vertical. We want to keep our eyes on the bag. There's your widest look. And we'll go through from the side angle. Our weight's going shifting a little back there. We want to keep that weight on the inside foot. And then we're going to go to our widest look. Now, depending if this is an in-season drill, obviously we want a guy out there, hopefully a look kid, a defensive kid who can just sprint. Right? The faster that he can come off the ball, the better it is for us. I think it's important that we start with our eyes locked on that defender. Right? We have a habit sometimes of not looking at him for some reason. I don't know why exactly we do that, but I think that man knows where he's trying to get. I need to let him know that I'm going to stop him, right? I think it's important for us confidence-wise, and two, so that when we take our set, we don't have to look and find the sucker, right? We want to have our eyes locked on pre-snap and know exactly where we're going, because this different set is extremely important to our success. We obviously want to set more vertical the wider the rusher. I tell them if my grandma runs out of the concession stand, tries to hit our quarterback, you better be setting vertical, because one, she's coming wide, and two, she's quick. Vertical, vertical, vertical. And moving on. And now we got to the finish, right? Earlier we talked about how we want everything that we do in our pass protection to be extremely violent, right? We want violence in our sets, in our postures, especially in our punch, and of course in our finish, right? I tell our guys, we want to eat ribs. There's nothing better on film if you see a guy who could be taking a play off, nobody's rushing him, he's looking here, he's looking there, and he starts sprinting down the line, finding work, right? Finding that guy who needs help, finding that defender who's being held up. It's important for us to play as a unit, so nobody takes a play off, and for us to find that work when we might not have some. So in order to do that, right, you want to play with that good base, those power angles again, keep those feet driving through the end of the rep. I'm telling them, if you're ever in a stalemate, or if you find yourself winning a pass protection rep, it turns into the run game. Run your feet, drive him until he's in the ground, right? And Michael Erickson, you see clips of him. He was phenomenal. He's one of the best I've ever seen do it. And we're going to watch him next year play at Harding. I'm extremely excited about him. But he was a kid who did it right. And he was able to do that with making those feet and helmet adjustments after contact and finishing that block by maintaining that pressure, keeping his weight on his insteps, and keeping his whole foot in the ground. So those are a couple things that we do as far as our finish. And one of the best ways that I've found to drill this is going to be our 5-5 spin and bull. So I'll go ahead and move on to the clip here. You can reference the slide if you need to. But what we're going to do is you're going to line up. You're already fit in protection. So 61 here is on defense. He's going to have his hands on the outside shoulder of Thaddeus Timmons, our senior last year, who's also going to play at the next level. He was a mauler left guard for us. And he is going to get his hands fit, get his power angles, and obviously he's covered up there by our big young lineman here. But you're going to see this rep. What he's going to do is he's going to take him 5 yards to one of these cones on either side. He's going to take him back 5 yards to where they're starting. He's going to show him a spin, which I'm excited to watch here. And then he's going to throw him into a bull rush. So you're going to get 4 separate movements, 4 different variations of a rush that you could see, all in one rep of pass protection. And it's forcing our offensive linemen to react to each one, fight off those 5-yard runs or rushes with that strong hand and that strong hip. We want to block them with our hips and our feet. Our hands are just there as extra weapons. And we'll go ahead and watch this rep here. He's going to take him. He's going to take him right back, show a nice spin, and then there's our bull rush. Now Thaddeus, He's a very strong kid. He's got great bend. He's got great feet. So he's able to shut down this bull rush pretty quickly. But we want to hop and get low on those bull rushes, because bull rushes as an offensive lineman, we can really struggle with sometimes. So what I've taught us and I found that works is to hop and widen our feet, lower our center of gravity, and get our head out at the same time. And you'll see a clip of that here in a second. But let's go ahead and move on to the next clip. Here's Clay. He's going to take that 5 yards, block him with the hip, get the spin non-existent. And now I'd like him to get his head out there to the end. So again, he's a stronger kid. He's trying to strengthen out that bull rush. So we'll get him coached up on that. But it's a beautiful rep as far as fighting that hip on the 5 yards to the cone, and then bringing his weight back, fighting that hip, bringing it back 5 yards. And obviously the spin didn't make a whole lot of contact. Here's a good look at our hop versus the bull rush. And that's all it is. All we got to do is lower that center of gravity. I'd like him to have his eyes up a little bit more, get that head back. But at the end of the day, he's getting that lower center of gravity. He's stopping a kid who is significantly bigger than him, and he's able to eliminate that bull rush, and it works. All right, again, thank you, coaches, for the opportunity. That was just a quick little look into the life of us as our offensive line technique and some of the things that we do at P Ridge to hone in on those little details every single day. I've got plenty more drills that I would love to talk about. I'm reaching my 30 minutes here. So this is my contact information. I am more than happy to talk about things, any more drills that we do, anything that you loved, anything that you absolutely hated, please let me know. That's my cell phone number, my email, my Twitter. I'm happy to talk ball with anybody. I'm always excited to learn. So thanks again for sitting in and listening in, and we will see you next time.